Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to another episode of College Eats, where today we're taking a look at a nice and hearty curry and fried chicken dish. We're going to start with the fried chicken. The reason we're starting here is so that we can give our chicken time to cure while we make the curry. So to start, we're going to cut our chicken into bite-sized chunks. Now, I'm using boneless chicken thighs, but you can also use bone-in wings or even breasts as well. But I find thighs are more tender and juicy. Once we get those cut and placed into a bowl, we're going to season our chicken with some salt, freshly cracked pepper, grated ginger, and just a little bit of Chinese 5-spice. Once we've thrown in our seasonings, we're going to mix it all together in a bowl, cover it with plastic wrap, and let it cure in the fridge for an hour. Now that that's out of the way, we can get started on our curry. Something I like to do is to get all of my ingredients cut, peeled, measured, pots and pans set up, and so forth, before I cook. So, we're going to begin to prepare our vegetables. I'll begin by peeling and cutting carrots, potatoes, and half an onion. Now with the carrots and potatoes, I'm doing what's called a rolling cut. To do this, make angled slices while continuously rolling it over. This will not only give you a bunch of random chunks that are all the same size, cook at the same rate, but also offer a variety of shapes and textures that I think look visually appealing. Now I'll move over to that half an onion, and I'll just slice that into nice, thick strips, since once cooked, the onions will shrink. Lastly, I'll go ahead and slice and grate an apple. This will add a bit of sweetness to our curry. Some additional ingredients that you will want to have on hand are 4 tablespoons of butter, a 1/4 cup of flour, 3 tablespoons of curry powder. Now you can use any type of curry powder and you can even make your own. We also need 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons Worcestershire sauce, 2 tablespoons of ketchup, and 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Oh, and I almost forgot, we're also going to need some beef chuck. That's cut into bite-sized cubes. Now that our ingredients are all set in place, we can finally begin cooking. The first thing we're going to do is cook our beef. So we're going to heat our pot over medium-high heat, cover the bottom with cooking oil, then gently place in our beef. The reason why we're using a pot rather than a pan is because we're going to be adding vegetables and water as well to make a vegetable beef stock. Once the beef is cooked and nicely browned on all sides, we're going to add in our sliced onions. And once the onions have softened, we're going to fill our pot with water. We don't want to add in too much, but we do want enough water to cover our beef and vegetables. Once this is done, we can bring the heat down a little bit, throw in our carrots, and bring it to a simmer. Notice that I'm waiting to add the potatoes. I added in the carrots first, because I'm going to wait for those to soften a little bit before adding in the potatoes. I do this so that the potatoes don't get too mushy too quickly. We want chunky potatoes, not mashed potatoes. While we wait for our carrots to soften, we're going to move back over to our chicken that's been curing in the fridge. To that, we're going to add cornstarch and mix. Make sure each chunk of chicken is completely covered in cornstarch before we fry, so that we get a nice crispy crust on the outside. Now once that's done, we'll go ahead and move back over to the stove and fill an empty pot halfway with frying oil. Now I'm using canola oil, but you can also use vegetable oil. Set it on medium-high heat to bring the temperature up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And while that's heating up, we can go ahead and add in our potatoes to our vegetable beef pot. Once the oil reaches 350, fry the cornstarch covered chicken chunks in batches for around 3 to 4 minutes. Don't worry about cooking these all the way through, because we're going to fry these a second time. While letting the chicken rest, we can finally move back to the curry. By this time, our vegetable beef stock should be just about ready, so we can take that off the heat and shift our pots and pans around. And once we're all ready to go, increase the frying oil to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and fry the chicken a second time for around 4 to 5 minutes, making sure that the chicken reaches a minimum internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Frying the chicken a second time will make sure that we get a nice crispy breading. While we're frying our chicken, we'll want to get back to the curry, bouncing back and forth between chicken and curry, chicken and curry. To begin our curry, we need to make a roux. To do this, melt the butter in the pan and add in flour and slowly mix to combine. Once the flour is cooked out, you can add in curry powder. Now as we cook our curry roux, we can add in soy sauce, Worcestershire sauce, ketchup, and your grated apple. Now we can slowly add in our vegetable beef stock. We'll want to go slow here to avoid getting a lumpy curry, so just add in the stock little by little. We'll want to add in the cocoa powder too, to taste. Once the curry has reached the desired consistency, we can add in our vegetables to the pan as well as the beef, and bring that to a light simmer. By this time, our chicken should be finished frying, so now we can just plate up and eat. Now I like to eat my curry and chicken with some rice, so I'll go ahead and put some rice into a bowl, top it with some curry, and lastly our fried chicken, and we'll give it a taste. Yep, that hits the spot. Now I don't want you to have to see me demolish this plate, so I'll just duck on out of here and finish off camera.